Sterilizing, buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God will give. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower classes, social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force of bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks countries lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again.
Okay, welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.tv. It's the 7th of June, 2016. And I'd like to order some global warming if I could. It's freaking freezing out. But I guess that means it's getting hotter out, right? According to the nut bars that are jamming us on carbon costs and that to save the planet from global warming, which isn't, but they already knew that. Anyways, you know, I was looking, I'm going to start right here. Just get this while I'm talking about this global warming thing here. I use etymology a lot, and I wish everybody would use it. And use the lots of, like, I use Webster's online dictionary. It's good, it's fast. And I also use the KJVBible.net search engine. So I do a lot of back checking in that. And what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh yeah, make. I think it's what it is. It's either make or made. Nope, that's not the word I'm looking for. The word I'm looking for is made, I think. Let me look that up real quick. Where the hell did I find that? Let me try this again. Anyways, I was looking up words yesterday, and I forget where I started at. But anyways, one of the words make or made, oh, here it is, made. Okay, it's the adjective. Man-made global warming. Now, post up, I don't know, a few years back, and I don't even remember what the title of it is global warming man-made, I think it was. And the answer, I said, was yes, it is. Global warming is man-made. Now, I just found this yesterday, so I did this long before I found this. But I said, yes, it is man-made. It's made up by men to deceive other men. Something along those lines anyways. And so I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I I'm not sure what I was looking at, but the word made popped up in etymology. And what is made? To make up, invented. It's from 1789, of the minds. Okay, so man-made global warming is exactly what I said it was. It's something made up. It's invented of the mind. Because that's what the entire legal system is. Okay, it's fictional. It's used to deceive. It's used to cause harm. So people run around and you're going, well, we got to do something about this man-made global warming. Oh, yes, we do. We definitely got to do something about man-made global warming. What are you going to do about it? It's fictional. They tell you it's fictional right here. Man-made global warming, something made up, invented of the mind, which is what the whole legal system is about. It's about mind manipulation. Now, who's on me here? Oh, okay. What's cooking here? Okay, let's do it this way. How's this for a dedicated listener? Right? He's got no sound on his end, so he's asked if I can bring him in so he can listen through here. I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll try it. I don't know if he's going to be able to hear that or not. But there you go. Okay? I mean, it's all legal fictions, right? We all know that. If you've been listening or doing any study at all, you know the legal system is something of the mind. It's all abstract concepts. It's all things made up, you know? It's to entrap and to enslave and to deceive. And that's what the legal system is about, deception. Pretense that it's a law, that legal is law. Legal has nothing to do with law. Okay? Legal is about a bunch of actors. Okay? Playing a play, writing a play, scripting a play. And then propagating that fictional stuff to us as a reality. It's not a reality, it's a fiction. It's Alice in Wonderland crap. It's a fable. It's whatever you want to call it, but it definitely ain't real. So that alone tells you right away that man-made global warming is a fraud. Period. A fraud. A fraud. It's make-believe, right? I mean, I just love it. You know, man-made global warming is something made up in the mind, something invented. How are we going to get these people to do what we want? How are we going to get these people to give up all of their freedoms and succumb to the plan we have of a world government and a world religion, a place where we are going to, we, again made up corporations, are going to take control over everything on the planet and then just give these people back a little bit of stuff at our discretion? How are we going to fear them into giving us that kind of power? Well, again, back to Warburg at the 1950 Senate hearing, he stated that, first of all, we're going to have world government, we're going to have by consent or by conquest. And then he mentioned a problem which needed to be fixed, and the problem was there was two superpowers. And the only way, how can we have a world government when the world's split by two superpowers? Can't do it. So that has to be dealt with. That's why the Berlin Wall came down, and that's why the Iron Curtain came down. As per scripted. It wasn't this great freedom that took over the earth or anything. This was scripted to happen. The wall was make-believe, and it coming down was make-believe. It's all make-believe. These guys are script writers. They're playwrights. So now we get rid of the wall and the Iron Curtain. Now what problem do we got? Well, okay, that's good. Now we can proceed with our world government. But we need a mechanism. We need some sort of a mechanism. We need a problem that can only be solved at the global level. And the problem they came up with was the environment. Okay, so then they go to work making environment problems. You know, that's what they did. I mean, it's that simple. There's any rocket science. So they came up with the environment. Environ, the first part of the word. To surround, encircle, encompass. To surround, enclose, encircle. Roundabout, a circle, circuit, to turn. And so they've encircled you, okay? They've corralled you. They've surrounded you. They've encompassed you in the environ, or with the word environ. And then they added the next word to it, meant. Or mental, rather, excuse me. The environmental movement. So it's pertaining to the mind. Surround the mind. Encompass the mind. Pertaining to the mind, thought, mind, memory, remembrance, see mind, meaning, see mind, the noun, meaning, crazy, deranged, is from 1927. They make all this stuff up. And we got to come to terms with it. The environmental movement. Well, what exactly is that? Well, we're going to surround our minds. We're going to encompass them. And what you become when you become an environmentalist is you become crazy and deranged because you've lost all sense of reality. You've been suckered into the play, which is fictional. And then they go running around, what, are you denying that global warming is man-made? Well, just in the sense that they made it up. That's the only sense that it's plausible in, is they made it up. And you were stupid enough to get involved with the environmental movement, which, by the way, made you deranged and crazy, and believe all this nonsense. So, like, if you claiming yourself to be environmentalist, you're deranged. That's what it says. You're freaking deranged. And you'd have to be deranged because you're taking a fantasy and putting it into the realm of reality. That would pretty much qualify you as being insane. So quit being crazy. The environmental movement is a scam. It's the mechanism chosen because it can be a global problem. We can add to that anytime we want. Okay? From the made up, invented, man-made global warming scenario to any other scenario. And you'll believe it. Now, I'll tell you how bad it is, as far as your mayors are concerned, and this is across the board. We have a document from the FCM or FMC, Federation of Canadian Municipalities. So I guess it's the FCM. Now, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities is basically a left-wing socialist situation. And they bring the mayors down there. Once all their game is put in place, they brought the mayors down. And they always bring the new mayors down. And they tell them that, this is what the document says. It says, once we have convinced the mayors that global warming is real, knowing that it's not real, but once we convince them that it is real, then we will use the carrot and stick method to control them. And from there on, the mayors do exactly what they're asked to do. Or they don't get the grant money, right? Or they manage to vet somebody else and put them in their place. So basically what the FCM is saying is that once we've got the mayors convinced to believe the lie or the fictional situation, something made up in the mind, once we've convinced their minds that in fact it's a reality, then they will do whatever we want them to do. And what we want them to do at the local level, and that's the plan, the global plan instituted at the local level, then we can get them to do it because they're convinced that what they're doing is the right thing to do, even though it's absolutely the wrong thing to be doing. But most of your mayors are extremely weak-minded people. Most of them have come through the school system. Most of them have come through the university system, so they're perfectly indoctrinated fools who only know how to follow orders, not unlike boot camp in the Army. They've gone through a training process. And they're trained, and they're vetted, and they're ego-stroked, so that they believe in their minds and their hearts that they're doing a noble thing, when in fact what they're doing is they're harming everyone in their local jurisdiction, and that they are guilty of breach of trust against the people, which of course is treason. So your mayors are really Trojan horses. Your local councils are really Trojan horses that have been planted in amongst your people doing the bidding of the enemy. And the enemy is inside the gates. And again, Cicero said it very, very well way back in 42 BC. Or 40, I think it was 42 BC or 46. I get those confused sometimes, but close enough. The enemy is inside the gates. The enemy is not sitting over in the desert in Afghanistan. The enemy was never in Libya. The enemy was never in Iraq. The enemy was never in Vietnam. The enemy was never in Korea. The enemy is your legislators. That's who your enemy is, because they're the enemies of the people. They have the people living and succumbing to the rules and regulations of the legal system, which in fact is not law. It's another thing made up in the mind. They created fictional entities for you. You don't exist in the legal system. You The one with the blood flowing through your veins does not exist because you are real. The legal system is fictional. Fictional can have no jurisdiction over real. But if they acted in law, real law, that which is do no harm law, they wouldn't be able to function. They wouldn't be able to be your tyrants. They'd never be allowed into those positions. But there they are. And all you got to do is take a quick look around, and you notice that more money's flowing out of your pockets now than is flowing into them. You notice that your manufacturers have all seemed to gone overseas. You see the health of the average man, woman, and child is deteriorating rapidly. You can't help but notice everybody's being harmed. Well, that can't happen in law. That can only happen in the legal fictional world, where you, the man, woman, and child, succumb to the idea that the legal system is actually a system of law. The legal system is a system of lies and liars, using their lies to deceive you, to take everything away from you. Well, we'll have to put a carbon tax on, oh my goodness. You know, you're going to be fearful, I would think, in the not too distant future if you burn a chunk of toast. Oh my God, dear, I burned the toast. Oh shit. Quick, hide the smell, oh my God, we're going to get dinged for a ticket. We turned our white bread into a piece of burnt carbon, and now we'll have to pay the price for it. Probably take one of your children away from you for being so irresponsible. But that's the beauty of words. They told us they gave us responsible government. Of course, that was a lie. An absolute lie, because they're liars. And let's see. Responsible is answerable to another for something. To respond, meaning accountable for one's actions, is attested from the 1640s. That of reliable, trustworthy is from the 1690s. Retains a sense of obligation, okay? Now, where the government is supposed to serve the people, a responsible government, you serve the government. You have an obligation to serve the government. And they tell us they gave us responsible government. Well, responsible government would serve the people if you were in a lawful situation. In the legal situation, they put it so that you serve them. They write whatever ridiculous rule, regulation, statute they want, back it up with the force of law, which is just a bunch of thugs who are policy police, really, because that's where the word police came from, was the word policy. And they run around and beat on you and force you to submit to whatever rule, regulation, statute they write, even though it's not lawful. All designed to pick your pockets and hold you in servitude. Now, if you look, you have the word responsible. It says obligation, answerable to another for something, of which they're supposed to be answerable to us, but they've turned it around so we're answerable to them. Accountable for one's actions. Have you ever seen a government that was ever accountable for its actions? No, they flipped that around, so you're accountable. You're accountable. You're accountable because if you look at accounting, that's just basically counting money. And whose money are they counting? They're counting your money. Which leads to the word irresponsible is what I think we all have to self-identify as. Because according to the legal system now, as long as you self-identify as something, it seems to hold up. So we don't wish to be responsible because that holds us in servitude. What we wish to be is we wish to be irresponsible. Irresponsible from the same period of time, the 1640s. Responsible, 1640s. That of reliable, trustworthy, and then into this as from the 1690s. Accountable for one's actions is attested from the 1640s, and it goes to the 1690s. Reliable, trustworthy, and the sense of obligation. Okay? Why are you paying your taxes? Well, I'm obligated to do it. I feel like I have an obligation. But then you go down to irresponsible, 1640s again. What is irresponsible? Not legally answerable for conduct or actions. Not acting with a sense of responsibility is from the 1680s. Well, that's what we all need to self-identify as. Irresponsible. That's what we really need to do. You know, you get pulled over for jaywalking. Say, let's keep it simple. You get pulled over for jaywalking. I have to give you a ticket for jaywalking. Why? Well, because you're responsible. You have an obligation. You're supposed to be reliable and trustworthy, and therefore I have the right to give you a ticket. You can respond to them and say, well, that would be fine if I was responsible, but I self-identify as irresponsible. And therefore, I'm not legally answerable for conduct of or actions. So I didn't break a law. I'm just so self-identifying. Because legal has nothing to do with law. Legal is a simple situation of deception. They conned you into believing that legal and law are the same thing. They are not. So you get conned into this idea you have responsible government, is what they told you they gave you. Then you feel you have an obligation to be within the boundaries of what is responsible. Well, your so-called government lied to you coming out of the gate, so they're not responsible. They deceived the people. That certainly isn't responsible. So how is it you end up with an obligation to be responsible to those who are deceiving you? You have no obligation, none whatsoever. So you need to go and self-identify as being irresponsible. I mean, if they can make up, invent of the mind man-made global warming, then I see no reason that we cannot self-identify as irresponsible, which makes anyone who is irresponsible or self-identifies as irresponsible. If I can self-identify as a woman when I'm actually a man, then I don't think it would be too much of a bridge to put down to say that I self-identify as irresponsible. Because realistically, to self-identify as a woman when you're a man is, well, that's deranged, insane, sick, screwed up, whatever you want. And if you can be accommodated for that, then I see no reason that you cannot be accommodated self-identifying as someone who is irresponsible and therefore not legally answerable for your conduct or actions. And that's basically what they've done with the transgender thing. It used to be if you were a man caught in a woman's washroom, you're going to get a ticket. You might even get a beating. But because you self-identify as a woman when you're really a man, then you apparently are not legally answerable for your conduct or actions. And therefore, we should all self-identify as irresponsible. If it works for one group of people, it ought to work for the rest of us. Now, I'm not talking about being unlawful here. I am very strict about law. But law is very simple. You don't hurt anybody. And you do unto others as you wish them to do upon you. That's the law. Because when you're in law, the idea is not to create a victim. The legal system is designed to make everybody a victim of the legal system. And to harm you. And that doesn't sound like responsible government. A responsible government would operate in law, not legal. So, do whatever you want with it, but that's where we're at here. Everything in the legal system, if you look at land, land to people means terra firma, means there's the land. Not in the legal system, right? Everything in the legal system is abstract concepts, things made of the mind. The twisting of the definitions of the words, it's all there to deceive. If the legal system is the law, then how come we don't know the legal system? How come we weren't taught the legal system in school? Well, because it's the jargon of the lawyers, and jargon is deceptive language used to take advantage of. And that's exactly what they do with the legal system. They take advantage of us. Because it's a closed society using a language, legalese, that few people understand. And therefore, they end up taking advantage of you and I and everyone else. And to deceive someone, well, that's against the law. Okay, so that's what we got. So be sure to self-identify as irresponsible. And I'm going to try that out. I can't wait for a cop to give me a hard time and say, well, you broke the law. Well, I didn't break the law because there's no victim. Go find me a victim. There's no victim. Obviously, I didn't break the law, so you're talking about the legal system. So I hereby define myself to you, my good man, as self-identified irresponsible. What the hell's that supposed to mean? Says to Mr. Bluecoat. Well, what it means, my friend, it says right here, responsible. I am not legally answerable for conduct or actions. So go away. I can't wait to do that. I'm going to get that done, too. I think that'll be rather funny. I had a lady here yesterday from Census who was talking to my neighbor. We're going to fix his fence or something. And he mentioned to me there was a lady standing kind of over behind me a bit. I wanted to chat with her and said, what's up? And she says, well, I'm with Census. Oh, yeah. Well, you didn't send your census form in. Didn't see one. Well, it was mailed to you. It was supposed to be sent on, I think she said, on the 10th of May. Well, I haven't picked up my mail for a while, so sorry. Well, you have to fill it out. Why is that, my love? Well, because it's the law. Really? It's really the law? So now you got that fear factor, right? This is responsible government threatening. And, but we had a pretty good chat. You know, I said, well, I don't intend to fill it out because the law you're speaking of is legal. So all you're doing is asking me to give the corporation information none of their damn business, which I don't intend to do. And we got on. We had a pretty good chat, really. We got on about, I explained to her the vote, that she can't vote. So if you can't vote, where does law come from? She said, what do you mean you can't vote? I voted. No, you didn't vote. Well, sure I did. No, you didn't. You do not have the capacity to vote. Your legal fiction is the one who votes. Did you register to vote? Yes, I did. No, you didn't, I tell her. You registered your legal entity to vote. Because you, as a woman, have no capacity to be recognized in the legal system. And without the capacity to be recognized, you obviously don't really exist. And therefore you can't vote. On the other hand, the legal system created the legal entity which it recognizes. And that's what votes. Now, because the legal entity is a fiction, it can't do anything. It can't register itself, and it can't mark a ballot. That's where you come into play. You register the legal fiction as an agent of the legal fiction. And when you mark the ballot, you mark the ballot on behalf of the legal fiction. You're the proxy, the agent, proxy of the legal fiction, or for the legal fiction. But you don't vote, because you can't vote. So we talked a bit, and then she explained to me that, well, I'm really confused on a lot of this stuff. Well, no need to be. We talked about her high electricity rates a bit. And a bit of that fraud. And then she thought maybe it would be best if she got her supervisor, Jane, to get in contact with me about filling out the census. I haven't heard from Jane yet. I don't expect to, but if I do hear from Jane, it'll be fine. We'll just have a nice chat. And see, here it is here, answerable. liable to be held responsible. Can you answer that phone for me? And see who that is? Maybe it's Jane from Census.
Oh, fine. Can I call you back in like 1 second?
Okay, that's somebody else. I thought maybe it might be Jane from Census calling me. So you're answerable to the charge. They give you a charge and you're answerable to the charge, and that is liable to be held responsible. Well, how can they hold you responsible when you self-identify as irresponsible, therefore making you not legally answerable? I love this stuff. I absolutely love this stuff. The words we use every day, I mean, we really don't, we really are basically illiterate, if you will. And that's unfortunate. Now, what else can we talk about here for a little bit? I can't wait. Wouldn't you like to go in front of a judge? Judge says, or the clerk says, you were charged on or about. And how do you plead? I don't. Well, you have to plead. No, don't. Well, yeah, because you've been charged, therefore you're answerable to these charges. No, I'm not. What do you mean you're not? Well, I self-identify as irresponsible, Your Honor. What? I self-identify as irresponsible, Your Honor. And the judge is going to say, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Well, let me just read it to you. It means that I'm not legally answerable for my conduct or actions. Well, that won't hold water here. Well, yeah, it does, because it holds okay for the transgenders. Because they should be answerable for their conduct and actions. A man walking into a girl's bathroom should be answerable to somebody for that. But they're not. And you pass laws saying they're not. So you agree with the idea of irresponsibility. Okay, you've just passed legislation okaying it, making it legal to be irresponsible. So therefore I claim to be irresponsible. Self-identify now. It's important that you self-identify. Because apparently if you self-identify, you can get away with any damn thing at all. So therefore I self-identify, Your Honor, as being irresponsible, which states specifically that I am not legally responsible, not legally answerable to the charge. So have a nice day, and I bid you adieu. And if you ever decide to bring these courts into a state of law, and I harm someone, I will gladly attend this place. But until then, I shall continue to self-identify as irresponsible, which makes me unanswerable to your legal charges, which, by the way, Your Honor, are fictional, just like your little courthouse here. I'd be interested to see how that's going to work out. I love it myself. When I asked them who was charged, me or the title, that all hell broke loose in there. I didn't expect that at all. Just made sense to me at the moment. They said, you have been charged. I went, who is you? I am here, but who else you looking for? The judge got all pissy, or the justice, who has no degree in law, no training in law or the legal system. Just some guy that's stuck on the bench. Could have been a garbage man yesterday. Most of them are community people, complete idiots, and they put him in a gown and throw him on the bench and then put you in front of them. and you're supposed to be responsible? I don't think so. But, when I go, who else you looking for? So what are you talking about? Well, use plural. And I'm here, but you're obviously looking for somebody else. Who's that? Because it wasn't me that was charged, because I have blood flowing through my body, and I breathe, and I'm real, and I got a soul. So he couldn't have been looking for me, because the legal system only deals with legal fictions. Because the legal system is based on fiction. So he ain't going to tell me, well, I'm looking for the fictional guy. He ain't going to say that. So he blows that off and moves forward. And so they read the charges, and when they're reading the charges, I go, okay, well, that's fine, but who was charged? Me or the title, which is a legal fiction? Of course, the justice don't know what the hell I'm talking about, because he's just a gimp who has no idea about anything legal or lawful. But apparently, the Crown certainly understood it and started butting in on the justice like no tomorrow, and the justice got fed up and just yelled at him, "What the hell do you want? Why do you keep butting in?" Well, we don't have any. We don't seem to have any. We don't seem to have any evidence, Your Honor. Which really spooked the justice, and he got up and ran away. But I can't wait to use this. You can read off whatever you want, but it can't stick to me, because I self-identify as irresponsible, making me absolutely Teflon in the court, basically. Because guess what, Jack? It says here, I'm not legally answerable for conduct or actions. Doesn't mean I'm not lawfully answerable. The only time you can break the law is you bring a victim forward. And if this court can't bring a victim forward, we know we're not dealing in law. And therefore, self-identifying as irresponsible, I'm not legally answerable. Because that's what it says. And that's what it means. So, if anybody's going to court in the next few days or weeks, just look up an etymology, responsible and irresponsible, and because this is the origin of the words. And it's from the same time frame. Both of them, responsible is from the 1640s and irresponsible is from the 1640s. So that should be your out for any legal matters, that you are not legally answerable for the conduct. And that's a good thing, because I am so sick of this fictional law, the so-called responsible government. How does a responsible government go around stealing from everybody? How's that responsible? It's everything bad is what it is. Now, I saw an article. I may have said this on the last show. I've talked to so many people. On the Fort McMurray fire. Now, is it another inside job? Is it another false flag? Probably. They had a really dry winter. They had a dry fall. They had a dry spring. They say everything's tinder dry. Then they turned around a few weeks before the fire and made a humongous cut to the firefighting budget, when that would make no sense, because if you come through this long of a dry spell and everything's tinder dry, you would think, alert, alert, alert. There's a real chance we're going to have a big fire somewhere around here. We ought to up the budget for firefighting. No, they decrease it way big time. In the last report I read in the paper, and I won't be able to bring it up today, you can look it up yourself, but the deal was that there was a fire started. It was a fire, smallish fire. And when this whole thing first hit, all the nutcases, the mindless, brain-dead environmentalists, the crazy people, the deranged people, were yammering off about how it was caused by man-made global warming. Well, that's a fictional situation as well. Made up, invented, of the mind. So, was it caused by man-made global warming? Well, only if somebody started the fire. Now, there was a small fire, apparently, and they said, the last word I heard was they said that it was probably man-caused fire. And they used these ridiculous excuses because they said that there was no lightning strikes, so it had to be man-caused. Okay, so how did it get caused? Well, there's electrical lines, transmission lines and that running along there somewhere. Okay, well, you don't see sparks flying off transmission lines. And there was no word of a transformer blowing out. So that was basically their plausible excuse for why the fire started, is there was some electrical lines. Not lines that shorted, not lines that blew out, nothing. Just the fact they were there. But what gets really strange is they're already at the fire, and they got word there was a smaller fire burning closer to Fort McMurray. Well, why don't you make a call to the other firefighters? We're going to try and contain this fire. You guys contain that fire. Maybe we got no fire by the end of the day. No, what do? They abandon the small yet larger fire and take off back to Fort McMurray to put out this little fire. Which bears the question, is there only like 2 or 5 firefighters to be had? Where's all these other firefighters? I mean, the thing's been tinder dry for over a year. The thing's ripe for a fire, but don't seem to be any firefighters around. And then they canceled the water bomber, the largest water bomber. They turned down help from Russia, I guess. So when you look at all the circumstances surrounding the fire, it is very difficult to believe that the incompetence level could be this high, unless, of course, it was on purpose. Now, there's talk of uranium up there. There's talk of the Clintons and the Koch brothers, I think it is, and some other people that would like to get their hands on the uranium, which could be exactly what the purpose of the fire was, because in the IEA documents I read many years ago, it mentions that once the renewable energy is in place, then they're going to build large nuclear plants. So you're going to need some uranium. So quite possibly that's what that is. They stole your money through the green energy system, then they turn around because they know the thing don't work. They know that specifically. They knew it before they built the damn things. They don't work. It's all about privatizing your electrical systems and that. Because we can't afford to put in all this renewable energy, so we'll partner. That's a favorite term in the United Nations lingo. Partnering. You guys all got to go out there and partner. So now we have Spanish and American and who the hell knows else, what other companies in here have constructed windmills that we, for the next 20 years, are sending money to these guys who have no vested interest here except for their windmills and their solar panels. Shut down the coal plants. Now you got no reliable backup to speak of. So now they're going to go fracking looking for gas because they got to have 100% backup for these green energy systems. But their documents said that once they get all this done, they're going to build large nuclear. Did we just get scammed again, boys and girls? You damn straight we did. Question is, when are we going to wake up and put a stop to all these scams? That's the question. These guys ain't going to quit scamming us. They got long-term scam plans. So we have to get much more mobile and much more vested interest, which hopefully leads to vested actions, to put a stop to these banditos. We're not only allowing ourselves to be hurt, we're paying them for it. We're actually financing the hurt that's being heaped on the people. Maybe we're all insane. Who knows? But I do know the legal system is most definitely not sane. I do know it's totally fictional. I do know that it was constructed to deceive and cause harm and give power to those who should not have power, because those that have the power seem to be the psychopaths/sociopaths, which makes them insane, which makes them amoral. And there's nothing more dangerous than an amoral person because they have no guidelines on what is right and what is wrong. Just like the corporation, the dead entity. It has no feelings. When they're driving for a goal, your health and benefits don't matter a damn to them. They're goal-oriented. And whatever they have to do to get to their goal is justified on the idea they're trying to get their goal. And so if you stand in your way, they're going to run you over. And you say, well, that's morally wrong. Well, that's fine, but they're amoral. What do they care? Legal's amoral, law's moral. So if anybody's going to court, keep that in mind. Just go in there and say, sorry, I'm irresponsible. It says right here I'm not legally answerable, so have a nice day. Goodbye. And see how that works out for you. I'm going to try it if I get back to court here. Anyways, that's the end of the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. I'm back here on Thursday night, 7 to 8. I had some other things I was actually going to talk about tonight. Until then, let's hope for a little bit warmer weather. I don't want to have to put on the long johns during the June. Like global warming. Other than that, we have a grand night. And keep reading, keep thinking, keep talking, keep shining the light. No doubt about it. And with that, we are out of here. Okay? Bye-bye.